Psalms 34 verse 18 says, when people are upset, the Lord is near to them. He saves those who feel weak. And verse 19 says, righteous people may often have troubles, but the Lord saves them from danger. The Lord keeps them, not even one of their bones is broken.
See, I have a story to tell, where I have been and where I am.
Hi beautiful people, and welcome again to Grace to be Inspired. I hope you're enjoying yourself and you're having a wonderful time at home in this new life that we're living, like locked up in our houses due to the pandemic. But I hope you're using every opportunity you have to live well and just have fun with life, because you never know, you might never have this opportunity again to just be at home. Yeah, so today I read a scripture because I will be talking about grief today. And grief is a really sensitive topic to many people, and it is to me too, because it's a journey I have been through, or I still go through every day, you know. And I know that this season I just wanna just love the people I know in my life, that I know in this last few weeks have lost someone. You know, funny enough, I've had a couple of people who've lost someone really dear to them. Most of them have lost their dads. If you're watching this, I just want to say stay strong and just keep going, and I hope that the comfort of God will be upon you. So because this month of January I got a few phone calls from more than a couple of my friends who lost their dads. It just struck me that grief is a topic that we hardly talk about, because we always feel like, oh yeah, people die, people go through stuff, negative stuff, or most of us even tie grief to death. But sometimes it's actually more than that. So I just wanted to speak today and just to remind us that grief is universal, and everyone experience it. Everyone will experience it at one point in their life. At one point in everyone's life, we go through grief. And it can be the death of a loved one, it can be the loss of a job, it can be end of relationships, it could be even abuse or something from your past that has kind of dropped grief in you, and you kind of are not conscious of the process that you're going through, because generally we just believe that grief has to do with losing someone you care about. Yeah, so I'll touch a bit of all the other things that could be a cause of grief in our lives, and I would, you know, base it on loss of someone we care about, because in this season of lockdown and COVID and that, quite a lot of people have died, and it's even sad, like, to think about the number of people that you see on the news every day lose their lives, even though you probably don't have connections with them, or you do. It's sad that in this generation, at this time that we live in, so many lives have been lost, and can be depressing. But you know, the Bible says, blessed are those who mourn. So meaning that there's time for everything. There's time to rejoice, there's time to mourn, as Ecclesiastes says. So obviously that's life, right? So today I would just point out a bit about the process of grief and the things that we go through during grief. And I hope that this would help someone to kind of overcome their grief, or be able to live through the process and not kind of be in denial for a long time, or be in a stage for a long time that would in the future have a wrong repercussion on the way you live, or your life, or your health, because grief can cause broken hearts, you know, and could affect your life negatively. before I go into the process, I would like to talk about myself and some of the grief I've been through, just for you to know that yeah, I feel it and I've been through it, and you know, it's been annoying. And as I point out these examples, I'm also gonna like link my own story to the stages that I have. So I'll start by listing out the stages. The stages of grief we have are usually the main 5 stages are denial or shock, anger, bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. But in between those stages, we also have some other stages that like you go through in between. And sometimes you go through these stages more than once. You go through one stage more than once. You feel like, oh, I'm done with this stage, I've moved to the next stage, and then you realize that wow, you're back to that same stage again. Yeah. So like we've got shock and denial, and pain and guilt, anger and bargaining, depression, and then the upward turn where you're like overcoming your grief, reconstruction, and acceptance and hope about the future. So 8 years ago, I just had a baby, and she was just a couple of weeks old. And throughout the pregnancy, the 9 months that I went through the pregnancy, my mom was really, really sick, and it was hard and it was difficult because at that point it felt like that was the point where I needed her the most. You know, that was the point where I wanted to talk to her about my pregnancy journey, or whatever I was going through, when I was sick in the morning, when I was happy, when I was craving things. I just wanted to talk to her about it, so she could explain to me if it's hereditary, or you know, all that stuff that we women feel when we get pregnant, and the kind of connections we have with our mothers. And she was sick, and it wasn't just that she was sick. She had a brain tumor, and as we know, brain tumor can be a really kind of bad kind of health condition, because she had memory loss, and she would remember things in between, and she would forget again, and she couldn't be herself, and she went through surgery. And I remember the surgery, you know, took place on my birthday on that year. And that was the worst birthday I had. I was so depressed, I was so scared, and I cried to God. I was just like, God, like, I cannot lose my mom. Like, it's my birthday. I cannot have bad memories of this, because she went through the surgery and came out, and she was really sickly, and she didn't really wake up from the surgery on the day. So I cried from the morning to the afternoon after the surgery. She wasn't waking up, to the evening, and to like the midnight. I spoke to my brother, and he said she hadn't woken up, and I was like, God, you can't do this to me. I felt so much pain. And remember, I said at this time I was like 8 months pregnant, and it was tough. Yeah, but she came out of it, and I'm so grateful to God that she did at that time. And then a couple of weeks later, I had my baby, and she started to go through recovery and all that, and went back home because she had the surgery in another country. So she went back home, and she just was ill again. She wasn't herself. And then a couple of weeks after, you know, yeah, I lost her. And I remember some days before she died, you know, she was really like quiet and not talking to anyone. And she had told my brother, I need to speak to my daughter, because I'm the only girl, you know, that she had. I need to speak to my daughter. And my brother was like, oh, you're not talking to anyone, but you want to speak to your daughter, blah blah blah. And my brother phoned me, and mom spoke to me on the phone. I had not heard her voice that way in a very long time, for months. like while she was sick. And she was like, "My baby, how are you?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm fine. I'm so happy to hear your voice. Oh, I got a baby." She said, "Yes, I know. How are you? How are you coping?" I'm like, "It's been hard, but I can't wait to see you, and I can't wait for you to meet this beautiful princess. Now I have a girl, I have a sister, you know." And she was like, "Oh, I'm happy for you, baby." And then she was like, "I love you, my girl." I'm like, "Oh, Mom, yeah, I love you too, but I'm going to see you soon." Because at this time I had planned I was going to travel back home to spend time with her, and just to help her get through the surgery. But a couple of days after, the call came in and she was gone. At first, I was in denial. I couldn't get it. I was like, no. I spoke to her a few days ago. Just like her voice has never been so strong. How can she be gone? And unfortunately, it was just bad. I just had a baby. I was just messed up. It was messy. And I just was a shadow of myself for the next few days, because I had booked a ticket to go home anyway on the day after she died. And so yeah, I still went home, but this time I just left my baby because I knew I couldn't handle the grief. So I went back home to Nigeria, and then straight away I was like, I need to see my mom, because I was just in denial and it was such a shock, and I just thought, nah, that's not possible. And so this is the first time I'm actually recounting this story so detailed. They took me to the hospital mortuary where she was, and I walked in and there were other dead bodies in there. And I just looked. That was my closest experience of death. I was like, my goodness, how could people be so fresh and real and look like they're sleeping, but they're never gonna wake up? I saw someone on the side, you know, crying over their body, and then I went to my mom and I opened and I looked at it, and I looked at her, and I was just like, she had this smile on her face, and I was like, oh my goodness. I just told myself she was gonna wake up. Yeah, and then I left the mortuary, and then we planned the burial, and then went for the burial. And because I was in so much denial, I decided I was going to take a second look. Crazy, yeah? But that was how I handled my own shock and my denial. And so on the day of the burial, I told my brother, who's a doctor, I'm like, I need to go back to see Mom again. I just felt like the times when she was sick, I was pregnant and I couldn't be there for her, which was becoming like the anger stage. I was so angry with myself, like, why didn't I just go home? Why didn't I just spend those last moments with her? Why was I not there to walk the journey of her pain with her? And maybe only if I was there she would have survived, you know? Yeah. And so I really thought that, okay, what I could do to help myself was I was going to make sure I cared for her body. Crazy, right? My brothers thought I was crazy. Yeah, but I actually did not know what I was doing. And so my brother went with me, my eldest brother went with me to the mortuary. I helped in washing Mom up and dressing her up and putting on her gloves, just everything. And while I was doing that, there were like other dead bodies in the mortuary, but I was focused on Mom because that was my reason for being there. And I was so angry, and I was like, Mom, you need to wake up. Like, you're dressed, you look so stunning. Why are you not waking up? But my brother took me out after she was dressed up, and yeah, I left the mortuary and went back and got dressed for the burial. And then the time came for Mom to be put into the ground. And that was when it hit me. You know, that was when I got to the bargaining stage. And I was like, no, you mean mom is going down and I'm never gonna see her again? Nah, I just lost it. I couldn't take it. I just wanted to keep her body and just have it and just know that she's there, even though there was no life in it. I just, you know, yeah, it was so tough. But yeah, she had to be buried, and yeah. And then I came back to the UK where I lived, and you know, met my daughter at the airport because my spiritual mother had kept my daughter throughout my journey, and they came to the airport. It was lovely and beautiful time to reunite with my daughter after some days. And then I went back home and depression struck. Because at this point, you know, I was at home alone most of the time with the baby. I was everyone who, you know, had come to journey with me when I lost mom. Some people even, I was just even like, I don't even want them to say anything, because some people will come and be like, I know how you feel. I'm like, you have no idea how I feel. Don't say you know how I feel. So that's one thing that I think you should learn from. When someone loses someone dear to them, please don't say, I know how you feel. Just say, I wish I could take your pain away. I just want you to know I'm here with you. Or hold their hands and say nothing. Or give them a hug and say nothing. Because it's a tough journey that you never overcome. Yeah. And so I started to fear, and I was depressed, and I would wake up every morning, because I was on maternity. Wake up every morning, I would dress my baby up and dress myself up and just go and walk around the streets, having nowhere to go because I was fighting depression. And sometimes when I was alone at home with my daughter, I would hear footsteps. I was beginning to have imaginations. And when I tried to sleep at night, I would have nightmares of all the other dead bodies that were in there that I didn't even know registered in somewhere in my head. And it was like so tough. I was like, what is this? And the closest people to you, you know, did not understand, and it felt like, oh, I was just angry. I was bargaining that, no, mom, my phone is going to ring and mom is going to be the one over the phone, even though I saw her there. I was depressed. And then I just had her picture all over and all that. And the truth is, it's been 8 years, but still feels as fresh as ever. I still put her picture. I have a picture in my living room here. I have a picture in my room, in fact two. One on my wardrobe, one on by my bed. I have another picture at the corner with me. And I think when she died, I had a picture as my display picture on WhatsApp for about a year. And I started getting calls from people, take that picture down, it's okay. Because I just wanted to make it right. And I just didn't know how to, you know. And so that was how I went through my grief. But everyone goes through it differently. I don't know what your own process is or how you're going through your grief. But I know that it's different, and I know that it's painful, and I know that it never goes away. Yeah. So yeah, I celebrate her every day. I'm grateful for having her in my life for the few years that I've had her, and I'm grateful that she had me and she brought me up the way she did. I've accepted the fact that I will never see her here on earth again, but the pain is still here. Yeah, it's still here, and it's a journey, everyday journey. And if some people see every year I celebrate her on Facebook and say, oh, my mom this, and I write songs and I sing about her and I talk about her to my kids, and do not take it personal, because if you don't wear the shoes, you know, you don't know how tight they are. Yeah. So if you're feeling grief and pain where you are, it never goes away. but I want you to see the positive in it and just be grateful for the time spent with these people. I've lost other people in my life. I've lost my nephew. When I was pregnant for my second child, I lost my nephew. It was also tough, but I had to like stand by my brother as much as I could. I've lost a few things in my life. I feel like I've lost at some time. I've lost happiness at some point. I lost my marriage. At some point I've lost friends that I feel like not losing them to death, but betrayal or whatever. And all this can be painful. There's something that always bugs me. There's a pain you feel when you feel grief, It's like a sharp pain in your chest. It's like hard, like it's like a heartbreak. When my marriage broke, I was heartbroken. It was painful because it felt like someone that I loved had put a knife in my heart and turned it and twisted it, and it was so painful. But every day gets better, and every day God always reassures me that He's with me, and He reassures me that everything will be okay. When I am upset, that's what the Bible says, the Lord is near and He saves me when I am weak. Yeah. So I just want to say, stay strong. Go through the process. If someone around you is dealing with grief, treat them like you feel them. Give them listening ears. Don't make it awkward and keep bringing back their pain, like the story about their pain in a painful way. Instead, talk about good things like, oh yeah, mom used to do this, like memories, share memories if you have memories with them, or dad used to do this, or your brother used to do this, or even like if it's from a broken marriage, just share memories and say, look at the beautiful kids you've got from that. You have a good future. Like, look at you, you've achieved this, you've been strong, you've been that. Find a way to inspire people and not, mock people for their pain or say, oh, it's been 8 years, why is she still moaning about it? Because you never know how you're going to act or react to your own loss. Yeah. Deal with your loss. Go through the process. Don't rush any process. Deal with the denial and the shock, the anger, the bargaining, the depression, the acceptance. If you need help, get help, professional help if you have to. Because I did at some point, to talk about all the grief that I've been through, because it just caused me pain, and I didn't want to be living on painkillers, so I had to go through the process of healing, which I'll be speaking about sometime in the future, the different process of healing. Yeah, so if you've lost a loved one, or your job, or a relationship, or your dignity, or something that brings you joy, I just want to say that the Lord is with you, and He will keep you. He's near you because you're upset. He's got you. Don't give up. Don't give in. Keep holding. Keep believing. And just think about the good things and dwell on the good things. Life is a journey that has ups and downs, that has mountains and valleys, but there are times in life that you will look back and you'll be grateful for all your journey. So thank you for listening to Grace to Be Inspired. That was really intense. Oh, sorry, I was emotional in there. And I hope this, helps someone, and, just help someone out there. And I hope you subscribe. Don't forget. So that, you can get more inspirational, if you want, messages from me. I want you to know I love you, and thank you for your support, and thank you for being there always, and thank you for listening. And have a wonderful week. Yeah. Oh, grief, go away. Have a wonderful week. Yeah. Sorry. I hope I don't cry after this. Bye, guys. Love you.
Suddenly I hear a soft, still voice.